Okay, good evening and welcome to the December 7th, 2013, 7 p.m. regularly scheduled school committee meeting. Call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Just for notification, the meeting is being both audio and videotaped tonight, and I would ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I would ask for a roll call to my right, please.
Aria Rachi, Student Representative.
Kathy Saletti, Recording Secretary. Terry Olajars, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Bill Fonseca.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
Gregory Thompson.
Deirdre Mayu.
Rich Ficero.
Elizabeth Marcy, voucher.
Okay, thank you, and we have some minutes for approval.
Make a motion to approve the regular session minutes of November 18th, 2013 meeting.
Thank you, motion made.
I'll second.
And seconded by Mr. Fonseca. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Committee and subcommittee communications. Aria, again to my right, please.
Well, for Anti-Bullying Week, which was November 18th to the 22nd, COPE allowed the students and teachers of the high school to pledge to stop bullying. It wasn't just to stop bullying themselves, but to also prevent it. And so many people pledged that it's essentially filling an entire wall in the cafeteria, so that was really incredible. Also, the junior class of 2015, is having a fundraiser at Panera Bread this Wednesday, the 4th, from 4 to 8. So if you bring a flyer, a portion of the proceeds will benefit the class.
What's the date again?
This Wednesday, the 4th. And also, the GSA is having a movie night on Friday the 6th from 6:30 to 8:30, and they're showing Debs, which is like a spy comedy. So that is going on as well. We have a busy week.
Great, thank you. Bill?
Discussion with some colleagues throughout MASC. Everybody's looking for who is going to lead the professional development with Park on the horizon, as I mentioned in our last meeting, and as I continue to get information, I will update the committee.
Okay, great, thank you. Deirdre?
I have nothing, I'll pass.
Okay, Rich?
3 quick items. We had the Hall of Fame banquet for East Middle High School, the Athletic Hall of Fame, and Mr. Thompson was in attendance. We inducted 22 new members and 1 team. On this agenda is item 6.1, which came from the Collaborative Committee, as far as the school year calendar for next year. And finally, it was a wonderfully cold day at the Thanksgiving Day. We did beat Longmeadow 40 to 26, and that was a wonderful feeling.
Very nice. Beth, please.
Okay, just want to say the parent negotiations are going well to this point. We're going to be meeting again this week. And also, Valley Gives is a fundraiser that is happening throughout, obviously, the Pioneer Valley with multiple different nonprofits. 2 nonprofits that I just want to mention that are going to be asking for donations on December 12th is both Willie Ross and the East Longmeadow Educational Endowment. So I would really appreciate if everybody could go on the Valley Gives website and support one or the other, or potentially both, of these really great groups. And it can be a small amount, a couple dollars, or it can be as much as your pocketbook can handle. So it'll be December 12th, and I believe Mr. Smith is going to be good enough to give out a call, at least on behalf of ELEAF, coming up to maybe give everybody a reminder. So thank you. Just put you on the spot if you can do it.
We have an ELEAF link on our webpage now.
Oh, that's great. Good to know. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Okay, for new business, we have the upcoming calendar for 2014-2015 with some start and end dates. Mr. Smith.
Okay, as Mr. Ficero said, this is a draft that's come from the Collaborative Committee. And basically what it establishes is our start of the year and our end of the year, along with vacations. The only professional development, which is in, if you're looking at the iPad one, is in green. If you're not looking at an iPad version, hopefully you see some coloring around, say, August 22nd, August 25th, November 4th. People see that in the black and white version?
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the Right now, the professional development days that have been identified, at least for this draft, and then we would have to go back and put in the professional development half-days. But what this would do, it would get, or alert parents, as soon as we get up the draft version that the school committee approves, when our school year will be starting, when we will be ending, and where vacations are. The other thing I would direct the committee's attention to is similar to this year, we have sort of a unique holiday break. This year we decided that we would not return on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd this year, for that traditional half-day, that we'd end our fall season, if you will, right on the Friday the 20th, which is a full day of school this year. Next year, the collaborative committee discussed it, and we were thinking, come in on the 22nd, full day, 23rd, half day, and then do the holiday break through the 2nd, rather than returning on Friday for one day of school. Those are the highlights of this calendar. 180th day is in yellow, or at least shaded in June there, June 11th. And with the 5 possible snow days, June 18th.
And this is a work in progress. We'll be coming back to you once we get the half-day settled and such.
Okay.
Well, we are looking to approve both the first day and potentially the 180th day. The first day being Tuesday, the 26th of August.
Yes. That'll be the first day for students.
With that Friday off, as we've done historically, the 29th of August.
Okay.
And again, the 180th day would be June 11th with no snow days. Okay.
And if people are comfortable with the way the holiday vacation is set up now, we can.
I mean, the only other option would be to come back for a full day Friday, correct?
Right.
The 2nd?
Right.
And June 11th is not necessarily late in the calendar to have to make up a day.
No.
Pull back,
No.
No.
Yeah, it's easy.
So, no problem with it.
No, I don't either, because I think that you'd have more people not showing up on that Friday.
Right.
Probably
yeah.
Right,
on
I mean, people, if they're traveling at all, might just see that as,
Yeah.
okay, a return will be sometime that weekend.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is you want to heat the buildings for a day. I mean, and all of that.
Get them
you know,
warm up, right?
Everything that goes involved in that.
Yeah.
Just getting them, comfortable.
Okay.
So do you want to
So-
vote, or?
Yeah, please.
So I'll make a motion to accept the 2014-2015 school year calendar start and end date. Do you want me to say the exact dates in that? or-
Sure.
With the start date being August 26th, and we have the 180th day on June 11th.
Perfect, thank you. Motion made.
Second?
And seconded, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next up, we have, as you remember, last meeting, we approved our capital plan, our actually our 5-year capital plan, specifically for the FY15 requests. And tonight, well, since then, or right around then, we were asked to prioritize. So tonight, we brought back the whole capital plan, and we're going to have a discussion on that. We did, in discussion in our meeting to prepare for this evening, decide to at least get an estimate or a figure on a potential option for Meadowbrook School other than the modulars, more permanent. I don't know if you want to speak to that,
Sure.
Gordon.
At your places, there's a memo from Phil Poignelli, one of the architects with SMMA, excuse me. And what it provides you with is a quotation from Vanguard Modular, and it gives you a breakdown for both Meadowbrook and on the back page, Mountain View, as to what a cost would be if you went with a more permanent construction. I guess the modular standpoint would be that the walls and certain things are already done and they're shipped in and then you put them together, but it's not a trailer or portable situation such as the modular classrooms are right now, both at Middlebrook and Mountain View. So as you go down, they break out the cost on that first page with Meadowbrook, and the estimate, at least from Vanguard Module, is right around 1.8 million. One of the things we would have to take a look at is on the back page as you go through Mountain View, and they give you the 1.1 million. On the bottom, under the bold type, you have considerations for code triggers, and so we have to take a look at as to what added cost some of these code triggers, to use their terminology, might be, and that would be probably through both the architects at Sims, Maney, and McKee, as well as getting some input from Bruce Fenney, our facilities manager, and probably Dan Hellier, the building inspector. So that, it gives you a little bit different, if to do the modulars in kind at Meadowbrook is the first number on your 5-year spreadsheet, which is about $1,052,000. And so this brings it to more of a permanent structure for about 1.8 million. You have that information. The other thing that Mr. Fenney mentioned as we discussed the modulars, he is obviously concerned, as are the architects, about the portable modulars. However, our Mountain View modulars are not in the same shape that our Meadowbrook modulars are. So he does feel that if we need, they're in better shape. I'm sorry. If we need to keep one of the two modulars going, he would say Mountain View would be the one that we could keep going. You're talking about 2 classrooms, no bathrooms in the modulars there. So it's a different circumstance in terms of maintenance.
Quick question, is there any way to get reimbursement on something like these?
On an addition like this, I could ask that
We'd have to
question.
get into the pipeline.
Yeah, you'd have to put, you'd have to submit a
Do
request.
we meet the threshold for that? Is there, I wonder if there's a threshold for an addition like that?
Yeah, I don't know that. But I think you'd have to write an SOI, just like.
Right.
Yeah, so that'd be
So then
6
you
years
do a
out.
study.
It's still 6, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be.
Right.
Because we'd have to study it.
I know, we
Right.
would have to, I know that, yeah.
Yeah, feasibility study.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's a good
Right, so-
question.
Good
It was, yes.
So, right, so if like by doing it this way, going
I know.
through capital, then it doesn't go through that whole process
Right.
of
Right.
the approval process that we do it on our own, and then we have control.
Right.
And the time
And
waiting,
how
it's
it's
not
done.
enough money where it would actually, because I know sometimes they'll do things for smaller, like I know that they did something with science wings within schools.
right.
And it was a little bit different, so
Right.
it was just a thought,
Yeah.
keep our
Is there
feelers out.
something like
Central,
that?
right?
If it's
Central
like,
is kinda
Central
central,
did, yeah, but not just that, sometimes they would have come into like the wings of any school and they would have redone, it was like a one-year deal, you kind of sort of, don't know if you had to know the moons had to align properly, but some schools gotten it.
Sure. I
is
can
there
ask.
something out there like emergency fund, like stuff like that, if you had a
Well,
dire
I'm not
need to
sure
build?
what the definition of an emergency would be, because as Lorraine said in our meetings, a lot of the SBA's requirements have changed, so they're looking at, major renovations and replacement buildings and not so much additions. So, I mean, it's something worth looking into, but I think we're gonna need to weigh the sense of urgency versus the timeline too.
Right.
Okay, because I understand that the Meadowbrook,
They're pretty rickety, actually.
Yeah.
there are some
walk
issues
back
out
there.
there, and we need to act on that probably sooner rather than later.
Just to reiterate for those that may be listening, we currently have
Right.
4 trailer, for lack of a better term, 4 trailers on the end of the 2nd grade hallway, correct, 2nd grade?
Yep.
It's a one
Meadowbrook.
large trailer.
First grade.
1st grade hallway?
First
Yeah.
grade
Fourth
hallway.
Well, first grade,
one
right.
large trailer.
I think so, I mean, I think.
They're 4, yeah.
They may move
4
to-
classrooms.
4 classrooms,
They're
right.
Yeah,
basically
on wheels.
On wheels, yeah.
They need to be replaced, they're no longer of any value, so we certainly need the space. We had discussed potentially replacing them in kind
Right.
with trailers. This is another option to replace them with 4 permanent modular structures, similar to what the kindergarten wing was modular as
Right.
well, so. Aria, that's kind of what we're looking at, if you didn't notice already. The other two classrooms at Mountain View are trailers as well, but we're looking to potentially hold those off for a couple more years and then reassess the
Right.
need for space. Perhaps we have, we could get by with two less trailers, so. Anyway. So with that, we have to put that on our capital list,
Right.
or so. I guess my question would be, A, do we want to strategically put aside Mountain View at least for 3 to 5 years, or at least for this year's discussion? And B, do we want to pursue a permanent option at Meadowbrook or not?
Well, I think it kind of makes sense, since Meadowbrook isn't going anywhere in the next, 20 years, let's say. It might be more worthwhile to pursue permanent structures as opposed to portable, because in 10 years, we could be faced with the same discussion, depending on, construction and wear and tear and whatever. I'm just, one voice that says, let's go permanent.
So, yeah. Gordon, are you comfortable if we were to at least remove or put Mountain View off, say even for a year or two now, just in terms
I
of
think
discussion
with
purposes?
Mr. Fenny's confidence that his crew can keep it going, I would feel comfortable with
Okay,
that.
so why don't we do that at least for now, and maybe put it out, maybe on for 17, I guess, just so it's on there somewhere?
Okay.
Plus, I feel the difference, I mean, you have a permanent structure, and the cost difference is not,
Well, it's
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 considerable.
substantial.
It's
75% more,
substantial,
75%, yeah.
But when you think of the years that you get out of the permanent as opposed to the trailer.
Yep. That's why we wanted to look at it, so. And I'm open to discussing it with capital and appropriations as well, to see what they
Right.
might feel
Yeah.
better, more
Right.
comfortable with. So perhaps if we present the two options, but, if we can come to some sort of relative consensus as at least to what we might
Right.
want to do,
Right.
or think would be best.
Now, what was their time frame on those trailers? Like, what was their,
For replacement?
Their yeah. They have a lifespan?
longevity.
Yeah.
We're over the lifespan. Yeah.
By a lot. They cited it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Vinyl sided
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Summer of
to lengthen them a little
2010.
bit.
Right.
Right. And they were installed, those modulars were installed, I think, in the summer of 1998, and they were used.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
And really, that's a credit to
Right.
Right.
Mr. Fenny and his crew for keeping them going. They were the ones who cited them back in 2010. They've been the ones to do all the work on both sets of portable modulars and keep it going.
So if we pull out the Mountain View modulars, and even for now, we're going to leave Meadowbrook classroom replacement on there. However, potentially it may go to a debt exclusion, so it'll be within the discussion of capital and appropriations. However, I mean, do we put it first? Do we keep it separate, I guess would be?
1 or 1A, or,
Yeah.
something along those lines, where I think it has to stay on there, but
Right.
I think it's got to be in a kind of a separate category, just based on what you just said, possibly debt exclusion, which may not, wouldn't necessarily be part of a prioritized capital plan.
So why don't we, again, for discussion purposes, just hold on to the Meadowbrook discussion for capital and appropriations, and we'll certainly have that discussion, but for the purpose of prioritizing, why don't we look at the rest of the items this evening and see if we can come up with a priority list based on the rest? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
Following that, I got clarification on number 23. Last year, we received $24,250.
Right.
So this is 38.7 is on top of that?
This would be added to that in order to do a full chiller system replacement.
Okay. And number 24, last year we asked for $118,800. Now it's $210,000?
This is now the price estimate coming from Sims Mania and McKee. The original 118,000 was a quotation coming from a contractor back in 2010.
But that wasn't funded, we didn't, that didn't.
It's now,
The
it's been on,
118 was.
it's been on the, yeah,
Right,
it's been on
right,
capital, the capital plan since 2000, at least 2010.
Yeah, it was number 7 last year as far as priorities.
Right.
The other one worth discussing in some sort of length would be the school buses. You know, as you all know, we've discussed and came to somewhat of an agreement with Capital that we would try to go to 10 years on the fleet, on each bus. As you can see here, we have 4 current buses in the fleet that are 2003s. Terry, how are those buses? Do you know specifically on those 4, how they've been maintenance-wise, repair-wise?
Yeah, I don't know specifically on any of those. I haven't heard that.
Nothing major though.
No,
Transmissions, we haven't done anything like that, or?
No, they haven't been they haven't been the frequent customers, so to speak, to our mechanics. You have one of those 4 buses that are 2003s that is over 100,000 miles, at 104,000 miles.
And actually, the 2003s are actually purchased on July of 2002. The year of the bus is always like another year.
Yeah.
So they're actually a
Been in
year
service
older
a year
than.
older. Okay.
Which ones are the frequent flyers? Do you know offhand?
Well, I mean, I think they all come and go.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of, repairs on and off, but I haven't heard of anybody that's been down and out.
So I'd like to be perfectly frank with Capital when we have a discussion. Do we have a need for 4 buses this year? I know we're at 10 years on 4 buses. Is that, do you have an opinion on that, Terry? I don't want to.
I mean, you have to
Who knows,
replace them
but-
at some time.
Right.
I mean, it just, if you put them out too long, then it becomes an emergency situation if buses are breaking down all the time. That kind of thing, so.
When's our next round, 05?
when-
The next set,
The
we have
next
105,
oldest is
right?
105, right, we have a 2005.
When did we
and
buy
then-
one, Terry? We bought just one.
We actually bought that used a
Oh,
couple
yeah,
of years
yeah.
ago because we had one bus that was
Yeah,
very bad.
That's right, I
and
remember that.
It was better to buy a used bus than to try to fix that one.
And
so.
the next set is 09?
09, right,
We got what's this one? 06?
06. That's a
Oh,
gas,
that's
that's a
the
small
mini
one.
bus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, potentially, the next round will come up for another 2 years or 3 years on the 10-year schedule.
Right.
But I guess my question is, in terms of prioritizing versus other capital requests, and I know we had the stipulation and the understanding last year with
Right.
capital that if there was an emergency, that if we had a bus go down, we needed every single bus we have. So perhaps, again, that's for discussion this year, and we can maybe move it a little bit further down on the list?
I would, because I feel if they're running and they're running well, I mean, let them go, so long as they understand that when the time comes, they seem to be open-minded about that. Because you hate to get rid of something that's running, unless it's costing us more to run than buying new, So that would be mine, just to ask them if they'd be open-minded about it again, and
And I don't have a problem with that. The only thing we got to make sure that everybody's aware of is the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost.
you can
When
have
it
to buy
happens.
2 in a year in
When
an
it happens.
emergency.
Right.
And that's, I get concerned about putting this off every year, but I'm in agreement with the discussion here. As long as they realize when it happens, it's going to happen. And that the longer we do wait, the more it's going to cost.
Even if they entertain 1 or 2, depending on.
Well, yeah, depending on where it goes.
I mean, the quotation we have, I think it's from DATCO.
Right.
That Tracy Gamble had gotten, and it's at 85,000, that's where that's coming from. If, say, the collaborative were going in on a large purchase, we might be able to get a better price than 85,000.
There has been some discussion about the collaborative putting together a bid for buses for next year.
Would they, and I know they kind of sort of talked about it, but not too much at capital, would they be, okay, we're gonna take so much money and put it aside for buses, and it's still in the coffers, it's not being used, we're not buying a bus to replace a bus that's still working, but at least we'll know that there'll be money there. Have they,
They
they
talked
kind
about-
of touched on it, but I don't think
They
they're.
talked about it last year, but they
Yeah.
never moved
Yeah.
to try and fund it.
They were thinking of doing something like that for all departments of vehicles.
right.
So you had a certain amount that was always set aside each year for
Yeah.
vehicle renewal. It quickly becomes quite a large sum of money.
It does, it
Yeah.
does,
Does.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, the other thing I think we should look at is number 16. We rated that pretty high last year. We rated it number
Yes.
6.
Yes.
The rest was renovations.
That and the fact that it's been on for a few years.
Did you, were you able to get any answers about,
I did. He thought that the way he's got it listed out is probably the best way to go. And now I'm trying to think exactly what he said about the tankless
Yeah.
water. There was a reason why he didn't want to go to that type of construction.
all right.
And I apologize, it's escaping.
No, it's okay, I just figured if it was, it would have solved the plumbing problem, you know,
Mhm.
installing plumbing down that length, so, okay.
So with that, we need to come up with some numbers. Are there any that are high priority, I guess, is a good place to start.
I mean, I think that we probably should finish the chiller system because
Yeah,
that's something
I
that
know,
we
That makes
really
exactly.
sense.
We can't leave that one.
So that'd be,
And just so people understand, they decided that when they went in to fix the chiller system, there were other issues, so they decided to hold back.
Right, the company that came in and actually looked at it more thoroughly, knowing that we now had capital set aside for it, said, we can come in and do the repairs that you are asking us to do. However, we can't guarantee that it's going to last, you know, a month, 2 months, a year. There's no way to tell because they can't completely flush the system of all the contaminants. So unless they replace everything, there's no guarantee that it's going to be sustained for a number of years.
just to clarify, we're gonna develop this priority list without the permanent modular classrooms.
Right, I mean, I think it's certainly
That'd be
part of the
separate
discussion that we'll
yeah.
have, but I think just in terms of ease of discussion, it would probably be
Okay,
easier to, and then we can see, you know, if, you know, I think I made the assumption that it might be debt exclusion. If that's a wrong such assumption, then we'll have to put it in the mix. In terms of the amount of money that capital will allow, or at least appropriations will
Sure.
allocate for capital expenditures. So I think we'll know better, maybe we can ask that,
January 6th is when they invited us to
Capital.
discuss it with them.
okay.
so we start with number 2, the chiller system first.
Right.
So let's look. And I would recommend the amount of the restrooms after that.
Yeah, I agree.
I still don't think those kids are gonna wash their hands long enough for that water to get hot.
But I did check, this part I do remember, I checked with Kelly LeBombard, and really, it's the washing that gets rid of
I
the
know
the
this.
germs. I know you knew, but it's just so we're in public. The hot water itself would have to be a lot hotter
Yeah.
if you were gonna rely solely on the hot water for
Yeah.
killing the germs.
So do we need to do that then?
Well, no, I mean, I'm talking like boiling.
I know, but, no, do we need to do this project?
You do, because it is something that I believe the building inspector has recommended and is right
Okay.
now giving us
It's been there for quite a
Karen-
while.
Oh, I know it's been there, I'm
It's
just
been, you know, so,
trying to spend it wisely, but I agree with it, so we'll put that next then, is that what we're thinking?
yeah.
Number 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it?
Now, what about the high school classroom furniture?
I mean, that's something that obviously came out of our master plan and our
Right.
visioning
Right.
workshop, and it's something I think we each year have to look at in terms of all schools. Are there ways to consistently move forward so you're creating a 21st century learning environment and using furniture that is easily shifted and reconfigured in between classes and so forth. You know, so is that a urgent priority in terms of something that absolutely has to happen next year? With some of the other projects that are on there, I would say it's going to fall a little bit. However, as you move towards a comprehensive project, furniture is portable.
Right.
So that's something that if we can start to purchase and move with us into whatever building we end up with, that,
So I
you
guess
know, I don't want people thinking that if we were to purchase it, we can't bring it with us, we can.
I guess when I think about it, a part of me is like, yeah, that's a good idea, but the other part is like, at least get to the point, which could be as soon as a year from now, understanding once we do another feasibility study, if we are allowed to by the town, you get a better feel of what type of building, configuration of the building, and how that furniture you might buy now will fit into it. So as much as I'd like to say, hey, let's put that on there, I think maybe that is something that, I don't want to say not to do, but to not prioritize maybe as high. It gives a better idea of, you know.
I like number 8 as far as the next priority, the maple shade classroom tables, desks, and chairs.
Well, I was gonna ask, at that point, to continue Beth's discussion, it's on Maple Shade, so Maple Shade's gonna be there longer than potentially this building, so if we're gonna invest the money, maybe it's a better, wiser investment at this point to do it at Maple Shade.
Yeah, I would think the shed is probably, as some type of storage space is probably equally as important for Maple
Yeah,
Shade.
Okay.
that's what I was
Maple Shade
thinking.
has no storage.
More so than the.
I think you would like both, but I think I mean, you could, you know, if you're looking for a third priority, you make that third and the next one fourth, if you're thinking that furniture is where, you know, you want
Do
that
we
in the
have to
top
get that
five.
drive-it fixed? The longer we wait, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the longer you
I
wait,
know.
that is something that
Because is it
Bruce
causing
obviously has concern about.
issues on the
Damage,
inside of the
right.
building, right?
You know, if moisture gets behind it and it continues to erode that exterior fascia, I think is what they call it.
Have you seen the issue specifically on that?
All I've seen it, I have pictures of what the original contractor was looking at, if you want, I can pass these around. You know, it's where it's peeling and starting to break off.
And are some of these very large and obvious, or some of them smaller, like hidden?
They're not hidden,
Okay.
but they don't immediately jump out at you unless you're taking pictures like this. So
No,
that-
but like, is it near a gutter and it's like if you fix
Some are
something
near
else, it won't?
corners of the building
Yeah.
and near windows, so that's areas of concern, especially if moisture gets in.
Right.
Do we know what's behind that?
Behind the exterior
Yeah.
fascia? I don't, I'm assuming.
Like the gypsum.
It's usually like almost like a chicken wire,
Yeah.
and they put almost like a fiberglass, and then the top coating is more like a regular plaster, and then they paint it.
Behind the chicken wire, though? Would that be-
Sometimes it can be styrofoam.
Okay.
Styrofoam. Depends on.
So
how
to
they-
that point, though, is it an imminent threat to the structure of the building, I wonder? Not that we can necessarily answer that here,
Over time, it probably
but.
could be.
Yes, over time, but I mean,
How many years has this been
Immediate,
going
I
on?
don't
Do we know?
Well, it went on the capital plan in 2010, fall of 2010.
Okay.
So it was recognized in 2010.
All right, so
Assuming
3
that-
years down.
Yeah.
It's only gonna get worse. I mean, all of these are.
And that's what I'm saying, this is the
So,
worst part.
I mean, let's,
I would want to almost do that more, that, not that I don't want to do the tables and chairs, obviously the furniture I think is important, but maybe we would be better off bundling all of that at one point.
Right.
And, you know,
Make a much
where
bigger
if Maple
purchase.
Shade needs
Right.
a storage shed first,
Right.
that kind
Right.
of thing.
So what you're recommending is put the drive-it as the third priority.
Not
That
that
what you're
early,
saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one, so.
well,
Right.
well, I have Meadowbrook as the
Oh.
first, so.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
the next
kind of
one.
like 1-1A, right?
well, do we do drive-it and then the Maple Shade storage?
I think so.
And then
Have
hold
a better
off on,
shot at getting
Right.
it
then
storage.
Take a look
well,
at the
then hold off on the
storage.
furniture and do a
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
purchase maybe next year.
Yeah.
See these points.
Yeah, certainly, I think it would be.
Yeah. See if there's
And
any internal damage.
so the drive-it would be 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it, and then
the storage shed?
The shed.
Or,
In your county, are you looking
I
at
have-
Meadowbrook as one?
If you count Meadowbrook as one, then it's
Okay.
4.
Yeah, I'd like to keep Meadowbrook one, even, I know what
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Let's keep it.
So
right.
leave it on
Yeah.
the sheet, okay.
Okay.
So,
All right, so that's one. Right now, then it's one is Meadowbrook portable trailer.
Mhm.
2 is the BP chiller system.
Right.
3 is the renovation where it's just hot water being added at Mountain View. 4, if I'm understanding correctly, the discussion is the drive-it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then 5 would be the storage shed.
Yeah.
5 is storage shed? Okay.
I mean, how far do we have to go on this priority list?
That's really up to you.
We should prioritize all of them.
All of
All
it.
of them, you wanna do? Okay.
Keep them on.
But
the
do we,
list, yeah.
okay, do we move the furniture out a year, or do you want to leave it in there?
No, I mean, we could leave it in and just prioritize it,
Okay.
down further.
Mhm.
Because, so now excluding the Meadowbrook project, we're at $340,000 worth of requests already,
So that how much?
340. And if you, what would be next then?
I would,
Bleachers?
What about the fence?
I do the bleachers before the fence. I would.
What's wrong with the fence? I haven't really
The fence is still
scrutinized it.
standing, but it's got many areas that are bent, in disrepair. We did a little bit of work to try to keep our gates going, but they need substantial
Okay.
work.
But other than furniture, right, that's all that's left is the stadium.
and the
And the
what
buses.
about the
Swing
buses?
sets.
Well, the buses are decided.
Oh, and the swing set, yes. Beth, you're right.
Do they want to do swing sets? Because that's just like someone gonna get hit. I know that sounds awful, but
No, kind of, or not even just that, you're gonna have 6 swings for
I know.
200 kids or 100 out of each lunch.
I mean, I know they need something. I
Right.
know
60.
Mountain View needs something too.
2 10-foot,
Oh, yeah,
8-bay
8.
swing sets.
It
Where
was-
would they put those? Wow.
It sounds like we're moving the furniture down towards the end of this priority list, correct?
I think
That
so.
sounds like.
And the buses would be before that, you think?
Well, you see, the only thing is though, if we wait on the high school furniture, that's understandable.
Right.
But Maple Shade, again, if we were to wait for the furniture for the high school for any comprehensive project and thus get partial reimbursement for it, we're not gonna buy Maple Shade at the same time necessarily.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't apply, so, I don't know. I would venture, and I don't know Mr. Fredette's prioritizing of his own building, but I would say he may want the furniture over the swing set. Is that a fair statement, or do we not know?
I think he would go towards the academic setting first.
Well, I know he has been one of the first to try to rearrange his
Right.
classroom. You said you went and saw it. And it might be a chance for him to see what furniture works in the classroom or
Yeah.
how
Sure.
it works and really show
And then we
others
may be
how
able
it
to
could
apply
be.
that to other buildings as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
But I'd almost like to see before money's spent, I don't want to micromanage a building, but I'd like to see what their ultimate vision is and
Well,
what
that's
they
what I was gonna
plan for
ask.
everything and how we move on with it in the future. And, you want them to be, I guess, I'm concerned about buying Etzel of furniture, and I've said it before. You want something that is going to be, work with how children learn nowadays.
Right.
But when the beings that are higher sometimes say to us, oh, that's not how you do it anymore, you don't want to be like, okay, these aren't any good anymore. So it's just, love to see what they have, I'd love to see what they're planning. I saw a little bit of what Mr. Fredette has going, just even at all the levels, just so we know what we're doing and
Sure.
we understand what's going in the schools.
Now, where did he come up with that number, and does he have something already set in mind?
This
what he wants to
he
get?
did go to a vendor, and what he is trying to create is a space that is more conducive to readers and writers' workshop.
Okay.
So that you can have groups working together, and the tables are a little bit more functional and coming together sort of as a larger conference table, if you will.
Right.
And so it'd be getting away from your standard desks and chairs, and moving toward more tables and items that can be quickly reconfigured so you can build multiple groups.
We'll put it before the swings, I would think.
Hmm?
No, I'd put it before the swings.
Oh, I'd put it way before the swings.
But
Yeah, I think next is probably a good spot, other than the buses.
Well, why don't we can do the furniture and then throw the buses in there.
Yeah, I think wherever we put the buses, if we were to get the buses, that would be the last thing we would get on the list.
I agree.
Just realistically speaking, just
Right.
it's a big ticket item, so
Right.
just something to think about.
So we'll follow the dry vit system with the maple shade classroom tables, desks and chairs, is that what we're saying?
No, we were gonna do
Storage
the shed first, I think.
What do you think about this?
Oh, I lost.
I got shed as 5.
I guess shed is 5 too.
Right.
And then the furniture,
Furniture would be 6.
Okay.
right? Does that make sense? You
Yeah.
think that would be the logical, yeah? Yeah, good.
Do we want to go to buses as 7? Well, I think, or is it, I think it becomes buses or work on the stadium.
Right. So minus, again, Meadowbrook, we're at 310 and another 40s, 50, 360, 360,000.
I'd go with the small item, just because we got 400,000 last year, maybe if we, I'd go with the bleachers or the outer fence, whatever is more demanding at this point.
Bleachers been on longer.
Yeah, they have. All right. Bleachers?
Yep.
Then the fence?
And the fence is 8. What fence, what number?
Yep, I
Okay,
agree with you.
29. Oh, it's 8.
No, not that he's done.
Sorry.
And then the
No,
buses,
it's-
and then the buses is 9?
Yeah, is there anything we're missing?
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm at, so I have the shed at 5, the furniture, maple shade 6.
Right.
What's 7?
Bleachers?
7 is bleachers.
7 is
7 is
bleachers.
bleachers, fence is 8.
Fence is 8.
And the swing sets we don't have.
Well, we don't have the swing set and we don't have the buses.
And high school furniture.
Well, I think we hold off on the furniture.
Okay.
So do we want to go buses 9 and the swing set 10? I don't know.
Yeah.
So how much is the fence?
Fence is
45.
45.9, so 46.
What did I say we were at, 360?
Before the bleachers, yeah.
So 475, we're at 520? 520 at the fence,
520 before the fence.
with the fence. Okay.
And then you go, and then you get
310,
Then put the
340,
buses.
380, 455. That's 5 with the fence, yes?
I think so.
$500,000 at the fence, Terry, yeah.
Think so?
Calculating it in.
No.
I mean, if we're gonna do if we're gonna do 10, then go buses and swing set.
Yeah. Buses and swing set?
Is 9 and
Buses
10.
9.
And swing set 10.
Swing set 10.
We can kind of review them just one time
Sure.
before we vote.
Want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Meadowbrook, portable trailer, modular classrooms is 1. Do you want me to put both the modular replacement price and the permanent replacement price on there?
Yeah, I think it's up for
I
discussion
think you have
still,
to
yes?
discuss it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to
Okay.
see what,
But have,
Or do we want a unified front on that? I don't know.
Well, we can unify and put it out there. It's, whatever their well, no, I worded that wrong. Yeah, we should be unified.
do you want me to put then the permanent construction
Yeah.
in the
Yes, yeah.
calculation?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that would be one, and that would change to 1.8 million there. Two becomes the chiller system.
Mhm.
Three becomes the Mountain View renovations where hot water is added. Four becomes the Birchland Park Drive-It system. Five is the Maple Shade storage. Excuse me. Six is the Maple Shade classroom, the tables, desks, and chairs. Seven is the high school stadium bleachers. Eight is the outer fencing for the high school stadium. 9 is the school bus replacement of the 2003 school buses. And then 10 is the Maple Shade bay swing sets.
And just because we approved this, all this, I would say 11 would be the high school furniture.
Yep.
Right?
All right.
I think that covers everything. I think we did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just be sure.
Okay.
Okay, if we are comfortable, then we should perhaps move to approve the prioritized list.
I move that we approve the FY 2015 capital projects list as stated by Mr. Gordon Smith, our superintendent.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
And January 6th is when we're...
January 6th is when they invited us to meet with them, capital planning.
Do we have the time? Do we know the time?
I'm assuming 6:30, but I will verify the time. I think they start their meeting at 6:30.
We have a school committee meeting that night.
Right, so it'd have to be a joint meeting.
Okay.
We would have to post a joint meeting, and then we could continue our business like we have done in the past, where we would move from, if we're meeting at the senior center, we would move from that media room probably to either the yellow room or their smaller conference room.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So what time, or is it, oh, no time?
I believe it's 6:30, and I'll confirm that with Mr. Madison, who's the chair of the capital committee.
Okay. All right, and the final item on our agenda is development of the budget timeline.
Right. In your packets, you have a timeline similar to the one that was developed last year and probably the year before. What it does is it breaks down the formal process for developing our operational budget for fiscal year 2015. Capital obviously is part of the whole budget development process, and that usually starts the fall budget development process, and then right around early December, where we are now, we begin the formal development process for our operational budgets. It really kind of centers in this year with this week, on December 5th, Appropriations has invited all town departments to meet with them at 6:30 at the senior center, and they will give us parameters as to what they're looking for and what they feel the financial forecast, if you will, for the town is going to be as we go through this spring into fiscal year 2015. With that, as you look at the process, I've outlined meetings that will take place, one of which has just recently taken place with the leadership team, just to give them the budget request form and some of our preliminary thoughts in terms of how we're thinking we're going into this development process, and they also received the dates that you're seeing here for our December 5th, December 12th, December 17th, and January 7th leadership team meetings. And the topics might get added to, but basically the topics are outlined under each meeting as to what we'll discuss with the leadership team. In terms of building level meetings, what the principals and assistant principals should be thinking about is, as they move through December and January, they want to make sure that they're bringing into the process their faculty. They'll probably specifically have a meeting with their department heads in terms of how department heads may enter into the process, and then certainly during their school council meetings discuss not only the process itself, but look at staffing needs and get the recommendation of their building school council. So those will happen in December and January, and then our meetings as a school committee, we certainly can add meetings if the committee feels that we should. They are outlined on the two-sided on yours, or the second page? Okay, second page. December 2nd, which is this evening, and then January 6th, where we'll be meeting with Capital, but then we'll continue to discuss our budget development. January 22nd, February 3rd is our target date for a full presentation where the leadership team would present all of the thoughts around the fiscal year 15 budget. 24th would be a final vote on that budget, and then the 27th, the Appropriations Committee has invited us to meet with them.
Of January?
27th of February.
February.
And then from February 27th on, generally there's an ongoing discussion with appropriations.
Okay.
Now certainly, the process can be amended, added to, because budget is one of the foremost responsibilities of the school committee. So if you feel that there are items or meetings that should be on here that are not on here, that's something that you certainly have prerogative to add to, and we'll put them in there and schedule it.
Well, I would suggest that depending on what is said December 5th, we might need to make that a budget, an item on our December 18th school committee. Is that a school committee, December 18th, or what's the date? 16th.
Yep.
We may need that as an item on December 16th, depending on what is said on December 5th.
That's a good point.
We should probably have it, yeah, either way.
So I'll add that anyway. December 16th. Or discussion of appropriations guidelines.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you for the outline, Gordon. And with that, I think we're ready to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded by Mrs. Marsden-Boucher. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much.